Matt here on another edition of Ask Ron. Ron, how's your week going so far?
So far, so good.
Nice, nice. I'm liking that shirt, by the way.
Yeah. It makes you want to salute it, doesn't it?
That's right. All right, we have about 5 or 6 questions today, so let's go ahead and jump right into
Now,
it.
before you get started, I just got through doing a podcast with Joe and Jen Delafave. You guys be on the lookout for it. This is a couple that started in 2000. It came to me in 2016, and what an amazing journey they have had. And they just did 9 deals this past month, and he moved from New York to Tampa. So they're a very smart couple. Be on the lookout for it. Joe and Jen.
All right, I'll be coming out soon. All right, our first question this week is from Stanley in Kansas.
Stanley.
Stanley says, I have a seller that's owner financing for me for 4 years. I will wrap his first mortgage and a second mortgage for his equity. When I asked him to sign the letter of agreement and addendum that discloses his first mortgage has a due on sale clause, he is now concerned. Can I advise him to deed his house to a land trust with his LLC or some other entity as trustee, with the seller being the beneficiary, so we can avoid the due on sale being an issue?
Well, he can put his house into a trust for a lot of reasons. And he could be the beneficiary and then assign the trust to you. But my problem is trying to explain that to him so where you don't think you're trying to scam him. That's probably a discussion that your attorney should have with him. However, technically, if he transfers his interest in that trust, some people believe that would trigger the due on sale, some people don't. Honestly, I'm up in the air on it because I don't know anybody that's challenged it. But when he signs a beneficial interest of a trust to you, he's transferring personal property. So I can make a case that does not trigger the due on sale clause because the trust still owns the house. But honestly, I think it would be easier if you just get your attorney to talk to him and explain the unlikeliness that the bank would ever call the loan due. And then maybe you guys can come up with a provision that if the bank were to call the loan due, you would pay it off within 60 days or something like that to make him feel better, because we all know they're not going to call it due. But let's say they did, then you just go and try to get your buyers qualified. Worst case, you can't keep your promise. You do what you can. But especially going forward, extremely unlikely the bank's going to call a loan due. They got way more foreclosures coming at them now than they want. And of course, the foreclosures are up about 180% over last year. So you're going to have to, I'm worried about you trying to convince him, because he's not going to believe what you say. He might believe what your attorney says.
All right, that was a good answer. The next question we have is from Bill, and he doesn't mention his state, but Bill says, I'm talking with homeowners in prestigious neighborhoods, and the ARV on this potential deal is $525,000 while they're asking $499,000. The owners have 2 mortgages, one for $280,000 and another for $120,000. And the sellers are flexible on the income to stop the bleeding as the house is vacant. What would be the best offer to present them, do you think?
A wraparound mortgage is the only offer you can present to them. Well, it's not the only. Let's see, they owe 400, and what do you say it was worth? 5.25.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've got about 80% financed right now. They can go out and refi both of those loans and get that payment down considerably. I think you'd have to do the math on that, or they would. And then you could buy it on a wrap or lease option it from them, either way. Or you can, I don't know what your payments are, you didn't mention that, or you could just buy it on a wrap like it is, if you're going to have a monthly cash flow there. So I don't have enough numbers to actually give you a valid answer, but it might be easier for them to go look. They're in no more jeopardy by refinancing it and paying off the existing debt than they are with the 2 loans they got on there, but they could probably lower the heck out of their payment.
That's right. All right, moving to the next question. We have Deborah in New Jersey. Deborah says, I have an IRA and I also have an LLC. I have a property that I'd like to place in an IRA land trust. What is the next step?
Okay, that's not a simple question. Okay, you have an IRA and you have an LLC, but you didn't tell me whether that LLC is owned by your IRA or not. If that were the case, then you would buy the property in a land trust owned by the LLC, which is owned by your IRA, period. If that is not the case, the fact that you have an LLC is irrelevant because you cannot use an existing LLC with your IRA. Your IRA has to form the LLC. And the operating agreement needs to be an operating agreement for an IRA, which you can get on our Go Club site. But Bob Bloom's got a much better one, actually. He's the attorney, the state attorney we use out in Texas. To make this simple, I think you mean that you have an LLC, but that your IRA does not own it. If that's the case, your IRA's got to form one. I mean, it don't have to. You could just buy the property in a land trust and have your IRA be the beneficial interest if you want to. But all that means is you got to go back and forth with your third party administrator every time you want an earnest money deposit, every time you collect a rent, make a payment or anything, pain in the neck. So if you have your IRA form an LLC, now all the money comes in and out of that LLC and you're in control of it. Okay. Eliminate that back and forth stuff.
Yep, that sounds like the way to go.
Yeah.
All right. Our next question is from Raymond, and he doesn't give his state as well. But Raymond says, I'm looking to complete an owner finance deal on a condo that has an HOA. Do you think I'll run into issues putting out signs to advertise for tenant buyers?
Probably, but that's easy for you to find out before you close on the property, for crying out loud. But even if you don't have to have signs out there. If it's an HOA, you do have to, if it's a closed gate, they do have to get through the gate. So the HOA is responsible for allowing you to make that happen if there's even a closed gate during the day. But the first thing you want to check is to make sure the HOA doesn't prohibit you renting the property. If you pass that hurdle, then I'm not worried about not being able to put out signs. And they can't stop you from putting a sign out at the entrance of the gate, across the street, for example, pointing into the. But people got GPSs, they can find the house. There don't have to be a sign in front of it. And then on the other hand, maybe you can put a sign out until they tell you to take it down. Forgiveness, permission.
Yeah, that was a good point too. You got to make sure that you're able to rent it from the HOA.
Yeah.
First place. All right, Ron, we're coming up to our last question for the day, and this one's from Mike. And looks like he doesn't have his state either listed. But Mike says, where do we find details on hiring personal assistants?
I don't know that I got my, I talk about that in my business management boot camp, but I don't know that I don't remember ever making a, course on that. Probably something worth doing. Make a note of that, Matt.
Okay.
I might do, 10, 15-minute course on just exactly that. Maybe I'll even get my personal assistant, Tish, to go on it with me. She's only been with me now, but 19 years, so I don't know if she's qualified or not.
Only 19 years.
Only 19 years. So you get the 20-year mark, you don't know anything.
Almost there.
By the way, today's her birthday.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
well, happy birthday,
Today
Tish.
meaning September 1st, the day we recorded this.
Oh man, that's awesome. Mine's coming up. Mine's in less than 2 weeks now. But that's a good idea, Ron. We'll make a weekly lesson of this.
Well, just remind me now. I'm not writing, I'm talking. You can write.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I'm doing both.
What's the next question? And by the way, guys, I like it when you send in questions like that, because if I don't have a course, if I haven't made a little presentation on that, it don't take me long to go ahead and do one and get it on there. I think that's a good subject actually to make one on. So it's not a big deal for me. So if Matt reminds me, you'll see it soon. And if he doesn't, you can blame him.
It's already written down. Step ahead of you. But Ron, I think that was the last question for the day.
All right. Well, here we are. Labor Day weekend. So what are you doing? You got 4 months left, 4 months left in this year. It went just like that. So I caution you, you guys better be getting yourself prepared. We don't know what's coming up in the future. I know the market's already slowed down. Don't even ask me what's going to happen. I don't know, and neither does any other human on the planet. But my guess is things are going to slow down, which is good for us because it makes sellers more motivated. And we've never had a problem putting tenant buyers in houses anyway, even in the worst of markets. So a recession is in our favor, but you've got to get trained and learn how to handle it so you're prepared for it. And incidentally, if you haven't been to my quick start school, why don't you get in it? You still got time to see me live in Vegas in a couple of weeks, because I'm changing a lot of things in there. And today I'm focusing a lot on generating quality leads, getting sellers to call you, because that's where the real money is. And if you guys are watching this and all you're doing is chasing those Gold Club leads, you've got to make that shift. In this hot market, those Gold Club leads take an awful lot of work to get a deal. And some people get turned off because of that. I got plenty of ways for you to generate leads. In fact, make sure you watch that podcast I just did, because this couple generates most of their leads on social media, and they're paying, some of it is paid, but they're getting leads for about $5 each, which is incredibly hard for me to believe. Man, and I get a ton of them. So if you crack that code, generating quality leads, and master that call, this business is so easy after that. But you got to get in there, learn it, and quit listening to all the doofuses telling you what don't work, hot market, and all that crap. That's absolute crap, spoken by broke people who don't have any idea what they're talking about. Come to the Quick Start School. Let me show you what's really going on out there in the real world. And you meet a lot of our mentors as well. And you meet a lot of good, successful people as well, because they always come back. And if you can't make it in September, I mean, come on, come to Vegas, for crying out loud, write it all off. I'll do it again virtually. No, we're not doing it in October at all. So the next one will be in November here in Jacksonville. So, well, if you can come see me in Vegas, because it's a long wait between now and November. So anyway, look, it's up to you. But if not now, when? And how are you ever going to get prepared to get into this business if you don't come get trained? I hope you're going to get a mentor, as these folks will tell you. They had Tony Pearl. They wouldn't be around if they didn't have him. So look, we got it all in place. You just got to make the decision to get in. Quit sticking your toe in the water and moving around. Get in, jump in the pond and get in. Right now, get yourself prepared for what's coming, because I see a good future in the world for real estate investors. All right, I'm off my soapbox. All right, I'll see you guys. See you guys next week. Same channel, same time. Well, not same time. Well, I don't know what time. See you next week. All right.